you down it.
Oh, it didn't do it.
Okay. Juliet? You wanna start?
I'm supposed to say something?
No, I
Take
will.
3.
No, it's okay. It's all good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shine On Salon, number 11. I'm pleased that everyone came. Tonight is going to be really great. Sorry,
Number 10.
Okay. Anyway, it's going to be really great. One of my friends, and I respect her so much, Deborah, she is going to do it on meditation. And she's a yoga instructor and kick-ass woman all the way around. Love her. So anyway, she's going to do it on meditation. Very excited. And we have a pretty good crowd tonight. And so I think what we'll do is just very quickly, if you guys will just come up and say hello and where you're from. And I guess our online visitors tonight couldn't make it. And then Juliet, you can talk about rules or whatever, and then we'll start. I'm Alicia.
You can make a line.
Hello, I know we go circle around here.
Wait, where am I looking? This way?
Yeah, circle.
Hi, I'm Mr. I'm Aaron.
All right, automatic.
I'm Bill.
Darla.
Me too. Again.
I'm Dara. I'm Kelly.
I know, we should just go around and circle.
Gary. We'll see if we change over time.
All right, so this is gonna be awesome, amazing. Juliet, do you want to talk about any of the rules or anything?
Just do as we do. Sorry, I just spilled a bunch of wine. Continue.
And thank you, Juliet, for being our she does the website and everything. She's amazing. Anyway, take it away,
Oh. You have your wine back, Julia? Fine. Okay. Should we close the door? Yes. Just a little loud. Maybe Elijah will come in, right? It's about that time of year, isn't it?
I think that's over.
Good, glad somebody else got that joke. Yeah. Okay, so just take a moment, close your eyes. Oh, good. Oh, nice breath into your nose. Feel free to exhale out of your nose or your mouth. It's a cold season, so if you feel a little stuffy, that's okay. Let's do 2 more breaths. Take a nice breath in, fill your lungs up, maybe feel your back lifting. Neck around, open and close the hands. Out your chin to your chest. Whatever feels good. If you want to stretch your arms up, maybe wrists around. No rhyme or reason, just one more breath in. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Met Alicia, instant pals, and Juliet and I have been on texting, doing logistics and such. So thank you so much. And I've been a participant of Shine On a few times, and it's always fun. It's like, first of all, I love learning. I'm the ever learning little nerd girl. In fact, if I'm not learning, I get anxious. But every time I've left one of the salons, the next day I felt percolated and I'm telling people, oh, I got to do this cool thing and I learned about this. And even if you don't know, like the quantum theory, I wouldn't call myself an expert in quantum theory, but that one just literally blew my mind. It was awesome. So kind of shifting into that, I have some dear friends here that probably know way more than I do, and we're all different ages. Some of you may have been practicing meditation forever. We kind of joked earlier, we have a couple of newbies. So we come into learning anything with a learner's mind, and that can help us. So when I'm doing these workshops, time is always like, oh, how long can we see? So that was one thing I asked Juliet. I said, do I have to do a visual presentation? I didn't want to. Can I just speak? And then how long can I talk? And I think you said like 10 or 15 minutes, 30. And I was like, oh, I need the 30. I definitely need the 30. So having said that, if you're coming to this with lots of knowledge or little knowledge or whatever, it's gonna be a nice general overview. So the 3 sort of breakdowns that we'll do are, what is meditation? Where did it come from? That'll be one section. And then another section will be kind of why bother? Like, what is this for? The benefits. And then a couple people said, well, we're going to actually meditate. Yeah, we are. And so it'll be important for me to give you some guideline as to how, right? So the why, where it came from, the how, and some benefits. And then we're going to do 2 meditations. Okay, one will be 5 minutes, and the other one will be 10 minutes. And then I really struggled with this. Do we do Q&A before or after? Because one of my favorite things about Salon is all the discourse. I chose after. So, because I didn't want our minds getting bogged down. Having said that, though, you might say, well, I'm going to forget what I was going to ask, right? So if you want to, you can do two things. One, you can just jot it down. Or 2, my mommy always told me when I was little, if it's important, you'll remember. So, I was like something, and she's a single mom, and she was busy. And finally, when she said, yes, Deborah, like, what do you need? I forgot, right? So, don't worry. So let's just shift in. So yes, my name is Deborah. I've been teaching yoga in Charleston for 17 years. Yoga came to me, I came to it, 30 something years ago. I was shifting at a high school, a big chunk of time ago. And I didn't quite know what it was. And I remember I went into the back of, it sounds almost like should I have gone back there? Into the back of like one of those smelly health food grocery stores, because they weren't like Whole Foods now, right? They smelled like wheat germ, and they were gross, right? And but in the back there was this like Swami guy, kind of sitting like this, right? And he had some white on, and there were some stinky yoga mats, and they were rolled up in the corner. And at the time I was a ballerina, and so I came to it being like, oh yeah, I can do all this stretchy stuff, and I can touch my toes and this and that. But even though I was so into the body of awareness and really felt this connection with my movement, as it was something that I was doing as a profession, I would leave thinking, why do I feel so different? I don't know. Long story short, just to give my background, it never left me, the yoga thing, right? I moved to New York. I went and studied here, and it never left me. It never left me when I went to university, when I worked corporate Wall Street for 6 years, when I started a marketing firm and a consulting business. And I share all that not to be like all these random things. One, maybe we have that in common, but also that yoga is not for some particular group of people, right? And as I share information, I love sharing it with I would love we could right now all be doing this in the world. That would be lovely. So take a nice breath. Drop the shoulders. Just already notice that feels good. So once upon a time, 6,000 years ago, okay, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the teachers were sitting around like this, trying to figure out things, and they were curious, like our fun group here. And something happened. They started to talk about time, right? Oh, it's not just right now. So it wasn't just they were sitting around in Alicia and Gary's house, like, oh, we're just right here, right now. They were aware, wait, my mind's there, and my mind is here. So that was sort of the first kind of calling or shared story of shifts of time. We flash forward to 2,500 years ago, the Buddha, he starts talking about some similar things. Shift forward again. The gentleman that we kind of give name to, like the father of yoga, is Patanjali. Okay, and why there? Because he said, interestingly enough, and now yoga. That sounds familiar, right? And let there be light. Many teachings that all of a sudden there was, hey, here's this thing you can do. So he says, so these teachings, the sutras, the books. It's in Sanskrit. Yoga, Chitta, Vritta, Nirodha. It's kind of fun to say. So yoga is the culmination of understanding the fluctuations of the mind. Right? It did not say yoga is really cool yoga pants. Right? It's not Lululemon. Yeah, it may have said that like down like small fine print, but it was saying, hey, if you do this, oh, we have a new person. Oh, the doggy, wonderful. Come on in. So yoga chitta vritta nirodha, right? So yoga is the culmination of a system that will help us reduce the fluctuation thoughts of our mind. And why did they say that? They said that because that's the way we're made, right? Let's put that time period on pause for a second. I know we were talking a little bit. Oh, we're gonna do this part of yoga, that part of yoga. Like, where does all this fit in? Like, why are we talking about yoga when you came here to talk about meditation? So if we think about, look at that amazing dog, the love of dog. Think of a tree. This is usually the way yoga is sort of described. You've got a tree trunk, and you've got 8 limbs on the tree. Yes? Okay. And in this tree trunk called yoga, there are 8 things going on. Now again, because of time, we're not going to go into all of those. You want to come on? Hey,
Sorry.
sorry. Come on in. Welcome. I'm Deborah. What is your name? And your doggy's name?
Butters.
Butters. Your Butters? That's Butters.
Oh, wow. I'm not Butters.
Sorry, Deborah Beth. Nice to meet you.
I thought you said, and your doggy.
Yeah, I did. And Butters. Nice to meet you, though. So we're shifting back into, why am I talking about yoga when we were here to talk about meditation? So we can think of a tree, got a tree trunk, and there's 8 limbs. The yoga that we often think about are the movements, right? So that's one of those. That's asana. Another one is breathing, pranayama, et cetera, et cetera. So the yamas, the niyamas, codes of ethics of how to act internally and how to act amongst others, et cetera. There's focus, and then we have something called dharana and dhyana, right? And those are the ones that are starting to bring in what we would say is meditation. So meditation is one of the branches of yoga, right? Now I think of yoga, maybe put your hand on your heart, hand on your tummy, your hand on your head, just anywhere comfy on your body. A wholeness, right? Mind, body, spirit. Connection maybe to source, to something bigger. A wholeness or a yogi. So it is not saying separateness. Now, how often are we thinking, here I am sitting in this chair, but my mind is somewhere there. My ache and pain from my hip from 20 years ago is somewhere here. I'm over there, I'm over there, I'm over there. So that is the nature of the way we're put together. And so yoga says, okay, here's a system of wholeness. Okay, so let's flash back to the time frame. So we're talking about history, softening from. Let's shift way ahead to like 60s and 70s, 80s. Okay. So, hey Butters. No, others is like doing the breathing. So John Kabat-Zinn is a doctor, 60s and 70s, is a Western doctor. He gets a little frustrated. He goes to India. He's like, I don't know why I have to treat my patients like they're a piece of an arm and a mind here and then this and that. But he goes in and he comes back. He says to the medical community, oh yeah, let's do meditation. No, right? So he created something called MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. So you heard that first word, mindfulness, right? It's a super buzzword now, right? But he was kind of the one that kind of coined it. It was a system. Another person, Maharaji, also in the same era. It's okay. She's fine. So Maharaji is from India, and maybe you've heard of Transcendental Meditation, TSM. It's like a rock star, right? Like goes over the whole, like every country known and the spreading this information. Shift forward to like the 90s. Okay. Deepak Chopra. Right? He writes this book called Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. Again, as I was saying earlier, I read it. I was coming out of high school. Maybe you guys read it. That's pre-internet. It's like, you know, Oprah days. Oprah's like the original internet, right? Dissemination of information. This book went gangbusters. It sold tens of millions of copies. And, it, you know, as all things, information comes into our awareness. And it was important because he was from India. He was an Ayurvedic science doctor, but he also was a Western doctor, still is, right? So physician, and he was like, wait a minute, why do we have to have this or that? So he was maybe one of the first big guys to bring this into the West, to say holistic, right? Again, that's not a kind of buzzword, right? So these things have been sort of traveling along. I shift into the time frame now. I call it MRI. I call it MRI because now it's like science. There's so many teachers to share and talk about right now, but science finally said, okay, there's something to this, right? And the MRIs have actually now been able to look at our brains and they say, oh, yeah, those guys 6,000 years ago, they were right. And here's why. So everyone put their hands on their forehead, prefrontal cortex, right? I'm not a brain surgeon, so I'll do my best, just kind of explaining some general things. And then make like Martian fingers, like everyone knows that, right? And just kind of put them like the sides of the head, right? Insulars, left and right side. And they kind of like around there, the ACC, the anterior cortex. So these three areas, you can join it if you want. These three areas of our brain are in a deep relationship. And they're in a deep relationship in many levels, but one of the main things that they see light up in the MRIs are, again, that time thing, that time and space thing, right? I can be here, or maybe all of y'all are paying attention to me. It's okay if you're not, right? Or maybe somebody drifted, oh, I'm hungry. Or maybe I'm making me for Christmas. Right? That's very common that our mind does this, right? So we don't really think much of it, but if you think about it, we're missing a lot of our life, right? So we have our past life. Hello. We have our past life, everything that's happened before now. We have our present day. And anything that happens in the future, if we're not careful, it's going to look like our past. Right? And that's fine for the good stuff. For the good stuff, great, bring it on, right? But for the things that have been a little bit more challenging in life, you don't want to be carrying those along, right? So our past is creating our present, and then we have an opportunity to create our future. Meditation is going to help with all of that. So I just want you to close your eyes for a moment. A nice breath in. Exhale out. So the optic nerve connected to our brain. In MRIs, just closing the eyes, there's a hyperstimulation of neural activity. Really fun. Open your eyes again. Yeah. And we're gonna take in the space. And then just close your eyes again. Just kind of play with that. Notice how you feel. Good. And then just open your eyes again. Okay, so we talked about the where. Where did it come from? Why is it here? And I'm gonna have us now do a mantra together. Okay. So the Shanti mantra, everybody might know Shanti means peace, but the Shanti mantra is one of the oldest mantras. And mantra means mindful. If you're like, why does she keep saying this word? Right? The Shanti mantra calls in all the teachers before us, all the information that has come before this moment. And it's quite nice to know where things come from, but it's also a humbling experience. Again, it gets us into that learner's mind. So we'll do a call and response. And now that I've kind of told you what the name means, what the words mean, then maybe it doesn't feel so funny, but you also don't have to say it if you don't want to. Okay. So Om. Vagni Mansi. Mansi. Pratistita. Manome. Vasi. Pratistitam. Avir. Maedi. Edisyam. Anish. Trutam. Mama. Prahazir. That's a big one. Anena. Dita. Naheratam. Samadhi. Ratyam Vadisyai. Satyam Vadisyami. Tamam Avatu. Tad Bhaktaram. Avatu. Avatumam. Avatu Bhaktaram. Avatu Bhaktaram. If you like, you can put your hands to your heart, on your chest. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's just bow our heads for a moment. So all the teachers that have come before us carrying this knowledge. We talked about meditation starting from 6,000 years ago. And here we are still trying to figure out how to have an easeful life. So, we've talked about the where and how it got here. So now why bother? Right? Why bother taking any time to do this? The benefits are long. We don't have time for them. So I'll share a few of my faves. Okay. I remember we were talking about the brain, right? These three different areas in time and place, right? So to get personal for a sec, right? We all have our things. One thing, and we have some dear friends in here that have also helped me through my journey. One of my things I've had to work on is overfunctioning, right? So in polarity and duality of all things, good, bad, sweet, sour, whatever, the good parts of that about me since I was a little kid is like nurturing, like I am in hog heaven with you guys right now, like sharing information, being with fellow people that want life to feel good and want to take care of people, all that, that's fantastic. Over functioning, right? Maybe I misread signals, I overgive, I overdo, I'm a leader, that can be exhausting. Right? So meditation, amongst other things, but especially meditation, has really helped me become more aware of that experience, right? I come into an experience, something happens, I'm like, oh, I'm doing that thing. Past, present, future. Do I want to continue carrying that into my next time? Not really. Right? It's not really serving me and not really serving others. The other nice benefit of meditation is you really get to experience your experience. Right? You can think of butters there, right? I mean, they're the master at it, right? The doggies, the animals, the babies, the trees, they're there. We are halfway present, if best. Which really, let's say you're having dinner with a dear friend, not paying attention. It's not very nice, right? You're in an interaction at work. You miss some of the cues. We react instead of respond. These are some of the fun benefits of meditation. I'm sure anybody's heard the word stress. Yeah, stress is a funny one. So the yogis say that stress really isn't bad, right? But you always have to dig a little deeper. They sort of silly, the yogis, right? The Swami teachers, and like, what do you mean it's not bad, right? It'll kill you, right? It doesn't have quality. Right? It's how we handle it, right? So something external happens to me. Yeah, we can say that's bad, that's good. Of course, some things are quite obviously bad or good, but how we react to it, how we handle it in the then, the now, and the future is how we're going to manage that stress. Meditation helps with that. And you're like, I don't see how yet. We'll figure it out, right? Blood pressure, mood swings, depression, anxiety, sleep. The list goes on and on and on and on. Fun stuff, creativity. Really cool things like that, right? More connectivity, more presence, more, I'm really here with you. I see you, my quality of my experience with you, with others, with me in the trees, walking. I was in Charlotte yesterday. I went to a museum. It was a lot of fun. I was by myself, but it was just great. I could just really be present and really enjoy. So many benefits of meditation. Now, how do we do it? Okay, so no matter what the style of meditation you do, the essential thing is always about focus. If I had $1, I know there's some other yoga teachers in here I can't touch my toes. I can't do it. You don't need to. In fact, that's fine. I can't clear my mind. I can't. You cannot clear your mind. And if you can, please switch seats with me and hang out with the Dalai Lama, right? Because I think there's a few people maybe that have gotten to that samadhi place. You might remember that word in our chants. But most of us are here to figure it out. So have we heard of the word karma? Karma, it's kind of funny. I like to make silly jokes. It's a little bit like what is yoga, right? Yoga is not yoga pants. And karma, we've butchered it a little bit. It's kind of like good luck to them. That's their karma, right? Yes and no. Karma in the Sanskrit in the yoga world really means memories, right? And so what are we? Where do we store our memories? Anyone?
Not right.
In our mind, yeah. Anywhere else?
Bodies,
Yeah, your heart,
bodies.
your bodies, everywhere, and every single cell. And here's what's a cute thing. I was trying to think of a fun analogy. So Juliet and Alicia, yes, and Gary all share some memories, right? So, right, the little sweet little baby over there, right? we have hair color, we've got eyes, we've got height, we've got body, we've got this. We also have all the memories and all the experiences that happened in my life and my mommy and daddy's and their mommy's addict, da, 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 da. We see where we're going with this, but we have a cute family analogy here, so that makes it a little bit more tangible. It's like, are you sure? The word trauma. You know, we are different ages in here. I'm 49. That word didn't exist when I was a kid. I hear it constantly now. That's not to say bad things didn't happen, right, to all of us and to our families, right? And so every one of our cells lives in the past, right? Every one of our cells lives in the past. And here we are sitting here in this body form. And karma says meditation can help clean your karma. How do you even make sense of that? We bring it down, right? It's a pretty high level thought. We bring it down. We go back to that idea of everything that happened in my past, I can keep on bringing into my future unless I'm aware. And I take that pause. And I take that breath. Yeah, that was natural. Maybe that didn't felt like a good, oh wow, that would be really nice to do. Yeah. So if you're not hooked yet. Okay. So the word mantra. So I'm certified at the Deepak Chopra Institute, right? And one of my main focus is mantra. And so we can think of mantra in kind of like a V, like two different sort of directions, right? One mantra, again, my tool, right, is it's a vibration and it has a meaning. We've said the word Om a couple of times. Maybe you've said it thousands of times in your life. That Om, Om. You want to do it now? Om. There is a vibration. It carries a sound. It carries a meaning, wholeness. On the flip side, right? So this is all mantras that have meanings. Over here, vibration, sound. It's a bija. It's a sound. It has no meaning, right? So that's primordial sound meditation. Okay. Yeah, maybe some little light bulbs are going on. I love both of them. I love guided meditations. I do them very often. My day-to-day practice is primordial sound meditation. And here is why I do that one as my consistency. Let's have an example. Word peace. Let's say I was just to guide us. We are going to do a guided meditation, but it won't be the word peace, but just as like an example. Word peace. Okay. It's going to mean something to you. Right? We'll have a general connotation about it. I'm going to guide you into that. I'm going to think about peaceful things. I'm going to think about the beach. I'm going to think about grandma's cookies, whatever it might be, right? I'm going to associate a story. Or what are the stories? They're memories, right? And they're attached. The non-meaning mantra isn't attached to anything. But we go back to, well, how do I meditate? You're just going to focus on something. It could be your breath. It could be a mantra with a meaning. It could be a mantra without a meaning. My practice, again, my daily practice is the non-meaning one. Because if I want to attach to something, I'm trying to drive myself in that direction for a certain purpose, right? Maybe I'm feeling anxious, and so I want to do a meditation to release my anxiety, that kind of thing. But that non-meaning one. So what is it? It is the sound. There are 108 of them. And it's the sound that was made in connection to the moon. The time and the place that I was born. Okay. And so all of you have one. In fact, somebody with good statistics, probably Julia, right? Or one of her awesome, intelligent friends. Statistically, we could all have the same one, theoretically. But you can't know mine. So that's the little secret. And if anybody is interested after today, this and that, you can work with me and I can actually get it for you. That's one of the nice things about being connected to Chopra. But today we're going to do, as I said, a 5-minute meaning one, and then a 3-minute non-meaning one. And how am I going to get mine? Well, we don't know that one yet. But somebody here might have theirs. And we can use it. So just for a moment, let's stand up. Just because we've been sitting, we've been thinking. Now, how do you meditate?
Well, you have to sit perfectly. Yeah, and you have to have a perfect meditation pillow and the perfect yoga pants and all of that. No, none of that is true. You can meditate anywhere. When do you meditate? You typically are gonna meditate best in the morning, or actually right now is a really nice time. You don't want to meditate right before sleep. That would be more of like a guided going to sleep thing. Yeah, that's good. You don't want to meditate after a huge meal, right? Because our bellies, they need a lot of, I'm just gonna sit some decapitated in this. You don't want to meditate after a big meal. Because like there's so much energy that's needed, or after like a giant exercise, or even after like kind of a traumatic situation, maybe an argument or something like that, right? So do meditate, but get yourself kind of like in a little bit of a calmer, maybe sort of chilled out thing. You don't have to have a perfect space, but it is good to not have distractions if at all possible. Okay, so stretch, do whatever you want. Now, having said all that, I just want you to be comfy. So some of you, Juliet's given us this beautiful comfy blankets. If you want to sit on the floor, you can. If you want to cozy up on a chair, if you want to go sit over there by yourself, whatever you want to do. You don't have to sit cross-legged. That's a whole other conversation about energy lines and this and that, but really cozy's key, right? Cozy is key. I'm going to take care of our time. And as promised, the first meditation that we'll do is a mantra with meaning. So we've already, is everybody comfy-ish? Om is the first word. And you're going to do this quietly. Okay. The second word, there were so many mantras. I was like, well, which one am I going to pick? This is the one that I do, you know, when I wake up in the middle of the night every night, and I need something else to think about besides I have to do laundry or whatever it might be. Moksha. Anyone want to say that? Moksha. And the third word is ritam. Ritam. So om, moksha, ritam. Now let's say I am not comfortable saying something in a language that is so old no one even speaks it anymore, and I just don't feel connected to it. I'd rather say these words in English. So in my wholeness, Om. In my wholeness, say it in your language. Yeah. Moksha is like transformation, liberation. Like, can I transform? Ritam is rhythm. Right? It's kind of like when I met Alicia, right? Instant good vibe, right? Sometimes we need instant bad vibe, right? Ooh, that's bringing up some weird juju, right? That's ritam. Everybody has their own rhythm. Okay. Om moksha ritam, or in my wholeness, may I transform back into my own rhythm, my own rhythm. So take a nice good breath in. If you'd like, you can close your eyes. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, I ask that you just look generally down so you're less distracted. I'll keep the time. Like we're going to do this for 5 minutes. Just repeat it. Expect your mind will wander. Just return to it.
Just staying in your awareness. Turn to your breath. As the mind is shifted and made aware, bring it back into this moment. Staying in your awareness, gently open your eyes. So let's just take a nice breath in. Exhale the nose of the mouth. Stretching. If you want to stand up, I'm going to stand up. I'm just going on for a second. We're going to do another meditation. So gently share the 4 things that can happen in meditation. That's why I didn't share these before we did the first one. So, one is thoughts. Yeah, maybe raise your hand if you had any of those. Yeah. 2 is repetition of the mantra. Yeah, so hopefully you at least got 2 in, right? The thoughts didn't totally take over, but it happens. 3 is sleep. That means you did it wrong. No, it just means you're tired. Yeah. And 4 is something we call maybe like the gap or the space or the awareness, the witness. Many different ways to think about it. It's that moment that lets us create a new way of responding, a new way of being, limitless possibilities. Okay. That comes in practice. You got to do it more than once. So how long should you meditate? So recent studies, and again, I'm happy to share all these studies if you're like, where is she making this up? 13 minutes. Yeah. So ideally, twice a day, but that's okay. And let's say, I only have 5 minutes. Fine. You're still going to get some benefit. It's just not going to go totally deep into that nervous system. It's just not enough time. But still do it. Yeah. So, some people can wake up, no coffee, whatever. They'll just do it right away. I can do it. But I have a pretty active mind when I'm sleeping. So when I wake up, I don't really want to close my eyes again. In fact, I'm like, can I not be sleeping anymore? I'd rather kind of be in the awakening state. That's a whole other conversation. Maybe we can talk about that at another time. The 7 consciousness, right? We just happen to be in one right now, the waking state. So shall we try our last meditation? Okay. So again, this would be the one that I do my primordial sound on. It's like my Om and my Bija and then Namaha. Yeah, and that's one in the secret, one in the middle, right? So the one that we're gonna do, that we'll all do, is I am. That's in English. Yeah, I am. We'll just do it in English today. I am.
Are you supposed to answer that question in your mind?
That's a great question. Are you supposed to answer it in your mind? So hold for question to the answer, but I'm going to ask you some things at the beginning of your meditation that I think might help answer that. Is that fair? We'll see. So we're going to just do it. Right, so yoga is a practice, meditation is a practice. We just kind of have to see. And here's the thing. The teachers, right, the doctors, the scientists, they say whatever's kind of happening in your life is probably what's going to be happening in your meditation, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on in your life. your mind's probably gonna be pretty active, but if you've been on vacation and you're chilling out all day and then you go to meditate, I mean, geez, I hope there's not a lot going on in there, right? Hopefully you've shifted enough of your nervous system to enjoy your experience. But don't be alarmed, don't be nervous or scared of, wow, I did it and I didn't feel that gap. I never got to notice any sense of peace. My mind was active the whole time. Great. You're still getting all those yummy benefits. Okay, so let's close our eyes again. Take a nice breath in. Exhale. So I'm going to ask you some questions and you'll just answer them quietly to yourself. So I want you to repeat, my name is, and you're going to say your first name and your last name. All quiet to yourself. My name is, first name and last name. My name is my first name. My name is. I am. You want to say it in Sanskrit? Soham. I'll keep the time, 10 minutes. Be comfortable. Return to I am or Soham. Staying in your awareness, maybe deepening your breath, relaxing your shoulders. Relax your jaw. And just notice how you feel. No right or wrong judgment. Just notice. So as I bring all of our knowledge to a close today, meditation, meditation is inviting us. It's asking us to return to our true self. There's that space. It lets all the stories in the body, all that imprint, have an opportunity in that moment as you practice to discern, to decide. So even if you can do that a little bit every day, that's quite nice. So if you'd like, I'm going to share an Om. I'd love for you to join me if you want. Make it loud, quiet, just listen, whatever you want to do. Take a nice breath in. Oh yeah, the kitties here. Kitties love Om. Inhale. Om. Thank you so much for learning together, shifting us human species experience together. Have a better time in life. Thank you. And questions? Not questions.
What was your answer to the, should I be filling in that blank that I created?
Yeah, so your question, should I be answering that I am? It's a great question. There is no answer. The answer is whatever comes out for you. Right? I asked that question before to my teachers because nothing was coming up, and I thought, oh gosh, do I not know what my purpose and my goal and my everything in life is? Like nothing coming up. If you actually have nothing coming up, that's great. Right? The more that comes up, if I were to answer it in any way, is I'm still associating myself as some story about myself. Right? I am Deborah Kaufman Watt. Many of you knew me when I was just Deborah Kaufman. I am Deborah. Well, I didn't have a name when I was born. Yeah. My profession, my this, my that. So the answer is just notice what comes up. It's kind of a fun game.
Unless you're giving it the old declarative, I am.
Yeah, and maybe you do, right? But the moment we confine and constrict into a particular thing, we have created some sort of attachment, and that's fine as long as you like where it's going.
What if you don't like where it's going?
Notice that too. Notice. I love that question. Because yeah, that happens too, right? It's funny what comes up.
I figured it out.
Oh, you did. Well then,
I
you
started
tell me.
singing to myself, I am the walrus.
Oh, cute.
Because everything was really negative, so I just
Yeah,
sang that to myself.
that's great. Yeah. But let's say you're in meditation and you're like, whoa, wow. Just notice, just keep practicing. Here's where you're not going to see the benefit of meditation necessarily during meditation. You're going to start seeing it in your life. Right? Maybe your best friend, your colleague, is different about you. You seem more la la la.
Or, let's say you have a partner at home or a colleague, somebody you see often, and there's that thing that gets you about them, right? We all have that, right? We don't have that, right? It doesn't get you as much. Or you have a different relationship with it, right? So you'll see the benefits of meditation. All I ask, if you want to do it, right, is you just do it consistently. Whatever we do consistently creates a good habit or a bad habit. This one happens to be a good one. I do promise you that. And just try it out. Other questions? Ask anything. I don't know if I have an answer.
Observation
Yeah, or observations, definitely, or sharings.
for somebody, I mean, I've never made it a practice, and meditating purposefully, if you will. The concept of time drives me crazy. In other words, the first meditation was 5 minutes. I found myself, trying to understand when this 5 minutes is gonna be over. And then, as you were saying, the second meditation is gonna be 10 minutes. I'm going to myself, how am I gonna deal with the 10 minutes, and I had to devise some sort of a mechanism in my mind, like how many times I'm gonna say I am and count,
Oh my God.
and I had to picture, those old school clocks with the second hand going, I'm like, okay, every time I say I am 4 times, it's gonna be 5 seconds. And I'm gonna be okay, and I'm saying, and because it's just time doesn't move when anytime I try to meditate.
Right.
Which is crazy, because I can practice like 3 notes on a guitar over and over for 10 minutes and have the metronome set on 10 minutes.
Right.
And that time just goes like that, and I find myself repeating the 10 minutes to keep practicing, and I have no problem doing that. But then sitting quietly.
It's a great point, and being that you're one of my best friends, and I've seen you actually practice 3 notes for right? So it's a great analogy because it's an easy one. Music is a vibration.
Yeah.
So you're actually doing it. All this is doing something that we're uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
Right. Here's another time meditation's working in your life. You actually start looking forward to meditation. Yeah. I notice when I don't do it, or I miss it, or I don't have as much time, my interactions that day are not as optimal. Yeah. It's like brushing your teeth. Hopefully everyone here brushes your teeth, right? It's like,
That's one done
yeah, it's a thing.
repeatedly.
Like it's a healthy habit. You don't have to take a pill. You don't have to be in a particular place. Any other observations or shares?
You ever seen a cartoon called The Last Airbender?
No.
Okay, did anyone? Am I completely off here?
What's it called?
I just, somebody did.
Julia.
Yeah.
What's the name again?
It's called The Last Airbender, and it's a child's it's
Japanese manga,
Japanese,
isn't it?
yeah. But
Oh,
you said, yeah, okay, are you a little familiar? Cool. And in it, there's some exploration of that. There's certainly one episode that my thoughts went down the rabbit hole, but that's part of what I was doing. Talking about the chakras and how you open those up, and how meditation does release things just by the process of like water downhill. It's just kind of, so you should check that out. And Juliet could comment more on it. I thought in different ways.
That'd be fun.
To be honest, I'm not done with the show. It's something a lot of my friends watched. But it's a Japanese show. So a lot of it does have very similar like ideologies, and it's very nature based. So it's the show is based on different like tribes that are based on the different elements. So there's earth, air, fire, water. And then there's this one character who's the avatar, who's like able to work with all of the elements. And it's the whole show, the journey is this avatar trying to understand how to utilize these elements to protect the world, basically. And it's just a really beautiful analogy for kind of looking at capitalism, looking at just a lot of like how modern society kind of forgets the natural way of the universe, and like forgets why it's so important to, as you're saying, focus on breath work and focus on internalization of yourself. But yeah, it's beautiful. I was also going to say, before I forget, I always remind, whenever I'm not really good at meditating, but I took a class in high school with, I wish I should have told Mr. Greenwell about this, but my teacher, it was a world religions class. And when we learned Buddhism, one of the homework assignments we had was he asked us to go just sit and record ourselves saying Om over and over for, I think it was either 5 or 10 minutes. I think it was 5 minutes, maybe 10. But so you just sit there and you record, you get it's meditation, but it's just the constant speaking of the Om. And then you have to listen to it. So you first sit there, record it, and then you listen to your recording back. And it was super interesting. I highly recommend doing this. It just really shows you how the way you speak it, how you verbalize it, almost singing, it just changes. It's really fascinating and it's really beautiful, and I quite enjoyed it. So that's it.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, just to add on to that, right? Repetition, even in the mantra that you're saying, it can get louder, it can get softer, it can be screaming, it can disappear. Just let it do it. It will happen. We're not robots. It's not going to be the same, right? It's like recalibrating is what it's doing. It's shifting into all different parts of the brain and the voice. Wow, cool teacher you had.
Yeah.
That's nice. Anyone else? Feel free to.
They do scientific studies where they measure people's blood pressure or pulse rate
Yes.
or brain waves, and what do they find, say, in the 10th minute of meditation?
Well, I can't answer it to the 10th minute, but 100% yes. I'll give you a couple of different ways to answer it. Yes, they are doing that. Yes, all of those things. Yes, the heart rate is going down. There is more oxygen happening in the body because we're breathing in more, calming down. The thoughts are slowing down, which calms our nervous system, which regulates every system. I have one of my private yoga students in town. We've been working together for 10 years now. He's 80. He just turned 80. And he wears, I don't know how to use them, but if anybody have an Apple Watch, he loves doing this. And when we first started, he like meditation. His daughter got me teaching him, now we're best pals. But he wears his Apple Watch and he loves seeing where his heart rate is at the beginning. We also do a physical practice. And then when we do the breathing, and he's always blown away. He's like, Dad, look at this, so that might be fun for you, being that that's something you're thinking about, right? Like, be creative, explore it for yourself. Maybe you add some sort of metronome or, whatever it might be. But I will offer this. Do it as basic as you can. Don't add so many bells and whistles, because that's kind of the point, right? We're so distracted anyway. But it might be nice for you, especially if you do have heart pressure issues or somebody that does. You can sit with them, breathe with them, and then you can just kind of look on the watch and see what happens. If it goes up, don't call me.
911.
But yes, NIH studies, Harvard, neurobiologist. Yeah, I could share some info with you specifically.
So the problem I had was,
what's your problem?
my brain started going here, and then it went to, there was something in the toilet, and she told me I needed to clean it, and then I was worried that, what if the toilet's backed up? And so I was roto-rooter in the yard,
In the gutter.
and my brain not slowing down.
Yeah. So, okay. Good observation. Anyone else want to share their rando thing?
I have like 30 other things, so I'm trying to tame myself. But I'm a teacher too.
Yeah.
And first of all, I teach Latin. So something a little while ago you said about speaking an ancient language that nobody knows what the heck it means anyway.
Right.
I do that all. So
you're weird like me.
Man, I read that exactly. But it's interesting what I liked and what I need to think about on my professional level is that I can speak Latin and I don't require students to speak it back to me. But I often read things aloud to them, things that they won't even understand, at least words that are kind of disseminated. But in the so doing, there's the right brain and the left brain. Kids are trying to say, "You want me to write that down? You want to memorize this?" It's like, no, I just need you to like bathe in this oral thing, and I try to do that sometimes, and I think that sometimes that students, first of all, they don't have any responsibility during that time, so they can disconnect for a minute and just say, "Oh, okay, he's just gonna read Latin to me, so this is happening now." That's but it's super interesting because it's definitely a thing that I think that's in the 7th or 8th grade mind is something direly lacking. And well, I'm just saying that I think I'm gonna try to find ways to keep doing that, because I think what you said reinforced a lot of what I suspected was a good thing, but I had no idea. I was just doing it.
And I love that you're sharing that. I mean, what comes up for me when you're saying that is, it's like the Shanti mantra that we did, right? All the teachers before, I mean, you didn't learn Latin.
Yeah, I very much feel like I have mastered, dead white men masters.
But the stories, the text, the oral stories.
More to the point,
These languages are important, not because they're spoken now, but because all of our information was on that train of those languages. And so I had no idea, but maybe there could be a Latin version of a mantra of reckoning back to Julius Caesar.
I reckon there is several others. Julius Caesar would be the guy who I would go to on that. I think it's
That's true.
he had a karma of a different nature.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
really
you want to say something, Jenna?
Yeah, I just wanted to butt in. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I also during the meditation, when you were talking about the ancient language, and especially like with the history you provided before that, something I love and something I think about pretty regularly is I feel like it's so important to include the actual ancient Sanskrit and like meditative practice, because I was sitting there, and when you brought that up in the meditation, and I was just sitting there thinking, I am repeating words that have been spoken for what you said, 6,000 years. And I mean, regardless of like your own personal religious belief or whatever we all experience, like I'm a firm believer in like the things that we think about, the things that we say, the things that we do. And I took Mr. Lipka as my old Latin teacher. Like I took Latin partially because I think it's just so interesting and beautiful. And like especially like knowing that the mantra you spoke was to call upon all of the ancient yogis or healers, those people. It's just, this is another form of prayer, or whatever religion you speak of. Like, it's just so beautiful to not only be practicing something that's practiced for centuries and years and like eons, but also to be using some of the language, the native language. And like, I don't know, it's another reminder of like how important it is to preserve native languages and why that is something that really needs to be focused on. Yeah. And that was just really beautiful. And I really appreciate your inclusion of that.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's really important to me too. I find it not just on the more deeper spiritual way, but I think it's fun too. I mean, it's like looking up a recipe for something. You're not the first one that made tomato sauce. It's like, why not learn a little bit more? But also, yes, these words do carry a lot of humanity. And that might be something we're a bit lacking these days, and just to step into that idea of the spiritual, how hopefully none of us have had it happen too many times, but I know I've had those thoughts of, why am I here? Why am I here? Especially when I was younger, like, why am I? right? This calling back to, it lets us remind ourselves that everybody's unique and right, there's something very special and important for some reason, I don't know why. And it lets us remind ourselves, oh yeah, we're not just the system of what we think we are. That there is something really beautiful and magical in that. They call it like a law of pure potentiality, right? In every seed, there's already this knowing. Now someone might come and hack it off, right? But like there was we were all seeds at some point. Yeah. And so for me, it definitely is a spiritual practice. But it's also just a practical practice. And gets me through my day.
Question.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to practice meditation more frequently, obviously get better at it, not singing
The walrus. You can sing the walrus.
But is it better to have guided meditation to start me getting in that?
I don't-
habit, or not necessarily guided.
I think you should do whatever's comfortable for you. Like the seat, right? Sit comfortably, wear comfy clothes, whatever, or don't wear, it doesn't matter. You gotta find what's right for you. Try both. Just do it. Maybe do a guided one day if you feel a little nervous that you're gonna be lost with the walrus. Or start small. Or be okay that you're singing the walrus. Maybe it's something comforting for you, right?
Is it
now.
okay that you do like smaller times?
Everything's fine.
3 minutes?
Yeah, do a minute, close your eyes and open them, do whatever you want. It's more just, it's kind of like one piece of broccoli is not as good as, 5 pieces of broccoli kind of thing. It just takes a while for the nervous system, right? So like if we get out of our parasympathetic nervous system, again, some stats, right? Let's never happen to me, right? You get really mad at your partner. Right? What do they call it? Attachment styles, right? Everybody knows about attachment styles these days, right? It's like, how do I want to repair conflict with another person? Well, it technically takes about 20 minutes for our nervous system to recalibrate. I don't like that 20 minutes, right? I'm I want to go and fix it and make it better. It's not usually the best way to do it, right? So with meditation, if you're going to do a little bit of meditation, it's going to start having a nice effect for the mind, the thoughts, the nervous system, but but also, it's just the human nature. We all want an answer. We want to try to figure out what's the best way to do this. You just do it. You just do it. That's all I can tell you. You just do it. If you have the weirdo mind with the metronome for a while, that's super cool. Maybe it's because you're a musician. People that have a lot of visual. I've heard people like in my trainings, they would say, oh, I don't have thoughts, but like I see cool things and this and that. Am I in the gap? Am I like, no, you're just a visual thinker, right? If you're out of it, you're not gonna know. You might feel it there. One thing that happens to me, it's happening a little bit less recently, which has been nice, is I get to probably, let's say, 13 minutes or something, and I start to get a little bit anxious, like, have I forgotten to do something? Am I asleep? I'll have like a little bit of, and then I'll just have like this exhale. But when you go into your meditations, go in every time like it's fresh. Don't go in with a big expectation. Then you're just focus on the expectation.
Right.
Yeah, going back to Gary and Dory, it's almost like it stimulates all the things we need to do tomorrow morning by trying to be quiet for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You think that. But here,
Proves you need it.
and I get what you're saying, you think that it's stimulating those thoughts, but you were already thinking those.
No, exactly.
And you
but
know
this
what you were
is
thinking
By
of?
having the quiet time, it allows you to explode with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually better, because at least you're only doing that, because probably you're doing it while you're driving,
No.
While you're
it-
cooking
it-
dinner.
I go anytime you try to be.
while you're making out with your partner, right? When you're doing whatever, when you're taking a shower, so you're sitting, you're meditating, at least you're not operating.
I
a
take
vehicle.
13-minute showers exactly for that reason.
Perfect, but I get what you're
Sure,
saying,
that's- No, I'm just saying that,
Yeah.
you know, that trying to be quiet and,
Yeah.
and relax and get that big exhale.
yeah.
My
Don't
blood
cry.
pressure is going up, my heart rate's going up. I'm starting to get my Post-it notes out.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna hook you up to a machine.
That's funny, yeah.
But yeah, that might be, here's the thing, I love what you're saying, okay, is anyone vacuum? Oh, right, so, of course, anyone sweep, right, of course, right, we maybe don't do it as much as we should, but, right, okay, so let's all imagine a rug in our house. Okay, and we every day, we shake it out. It's pretty clean. Let's imagine that same rug. I go a week, two. I come and, oh, wow. There's like a dog toy under there, right? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You're the rug, I'm the rug. We have a lot of dust. So it's possible just that your minds right now in this current day, in this current moment, that's just the dust. Right? You're just, you think, oh, it's probably your mind would rather probably be thinking of something a lot more fun than cleaning the toilet. But it's kind of irritating to have to clean the toilet. Right? So it's just dust. And as we meditate more often, the tertiary dust starts to disappear and we get deeper. And that could feel a little scary sometimes. But unless there's something big and trauma going on, I mean, feel free to call me, right? These are all general things that you should be doing. But yeah, if you're dealing with something that's pretty hard, maybe have a nice little soft blanket next to you. Have a door open. Put some nice thing of flowers next to you. Just create a comfortable space. Because sometimes we are going through specific things, right? Or we know somebody is, and it's heavy on our hearts and our minds. So create as much comfort as you can. Yeah. Any other sharings or any other questions that you're curious about?
I'll throw this,
I love questions because
It's not-
sometimes we don't ask them, but we're thinking the same thing. So yeah.
so you'd asked about like, or who said, how do I what do I start? Or did you say, and you said like, you went to the walrus. Another yoga experiences I've had, one that really worked for me was checking in with yourself, which is really nothing more than just kind of, how do I feel? Am I cold? Am I hot? Do I itch over here? And like, those things bring me back into just, who I am. And usually that gets me away from, to some extent, the impingent necessity of whatever it is, because it's only what I'm immediately experiencing, and kind of helps me center more. And that when you said you were like waiting for like minutes and minutes, that's what I was like, I'm gonna keep checking in. I gotta keep going back. Yep, now my knee. Okay, it's different from before, or whatever. And then, I didn't do it to pass the time, but it was clear, kind of like the Om thing, that it was changing even in that very small window of space.
Yeah.
So then taking like the rug over days or months or years, I could see changes and checking in again.
It's beautiful. And sometimes we don't want to sit with ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're going through some hard things, disassociating, not the worst thing we can do for ourselves. But it's a sense of comforting. So thank you for sharing that. It reminds me, I'll just touch on this again, this could be a whole other lecture, is the Upanishads, the teachers, the teachings of the teachings. It was like the Upanishads were like us. It was like we're all sitting around learning. Human suffering. I won't get into it. But the first one is not knowing myself. There's 5 of them. Interesting, yes.
That's really interesting.
I think so too. That's why
I'm
I
dying to know the other 4.
No.
You must know,
I'll tell you the
know
last.
thyself first.
I'll tell you the last one. Death. Death.
Sure.
Death. Fear of death.
Oh,
Fear.
You know, above the temple of Apollo in Delphi, that it said in Greek, know thyself.
Yeah, these are not new ideas, y'all. We're just as confused as we ever were. In fact, we're more distracted now.
More confusing.
Is there a practical purpose to sitting a particular way versus shavasana, meditating in shavasana?
Good question. Is there a practical way? Comfort's always the most practical because like I have scoliosis, so even though I teach yoga, whatever, I have constant chronic small kind of discomfort every day that I'm always shifting and shifting and shifting because of my spine. I have a hard time sitting in particular positions for a while. So if my mind is going to be more focused on my hip bothering me than me sitting, pardon, like this, with my spine up, my head over my shoulders, over my hips, with my knees relaxed down, and maybe my palms open in a more receiving space, and my elbows back so that my shoulders are over my hips. Yeah, that's optimal. And you'll see that in the statues and this and that. Because what is that? I'm rooting down into my center. I have great posture, my nervous system and my spine and all of my energy, the chakra is a whole other set of things to talk about, is reaching up. I have health, I have good posture. So optimally, yes. But let's say you're in a wheelchair. Let's say you have a discomfort, you broke your leg. Oh, I'm not gonna meditate, right? Whatever it might be. Hi. Yeah. So you could you know, usually what I like to try to do is sit on a comfortable chair with some pillows behind me, because I know my back's gonna start acting up a little bit. Temperature's a big thing for me. I can get chilly, so sometimes I like to have a little blankie next to me. Not just your physical posture, but your surroundings. So I have an obsession with my dog. I love my dog so much, and I love this little dog, but my dog will distract me. Right, and so I've tried. No,
I'm so sorry, everybody.
no, I'm not saying it like that. I'm
I
saying
know
like,
you're not, I
yeah.
was thinking that.
But there's always gonna be a distraction, right? I mean, I lived in New York City forever, where I learned to meditate, and that's a very loud place. There's always gonna be distractions. So, but your question is an optimal. Optimal comfort, optimal sit up straight, it's healthy. But you know, yeah.
I'm hearing an overtone to what your concept is that there has to be something wrong with everyone, so they need to relax, overcome it, and deal with it. What if that doesn't exist? What if I think about all the things I have to do tomorrow, but they're not bad things?
Yeah, so
But they're distracting things.
then I would say, good for you. That's amazing. And so then meditation wouldn't be for healing some discomforts, it would be for creativity. it would be for expansion, it would be for limitless. What else do you want to do with the rest of your life? You know, like, how do I want to spend my energy, my time giving to somebody else, right? So yeah, if your life's going really well, it's a great question. I don't have to fix this or that.
Sounds like that everything though that you've been discussing has to do with fixing things rather than the creativity. Maybe I didn't go far enough, but
No, I would shift it into that past, present, future model, right? So if we know that, again, our memories are everything that we bring into now.
mhm.
If you've loved your life up to now, then yeah, keep going. I don't know many people like that don't have something they'd like to shift or expand or be curious about.
Well, you can always tweak and
Yeah,
improve.
or maybe it's something you don't even know.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. Yeah. Is that,
Well, I mean, it doesn't answer, I'm still having, when I close my eyes, sitting in my chair during the day and there's totally no distractions, I create distractions. My brain does.
so do you actively meditate now?
No,
Okay, so how about,
I mean, I don't know whether I do or not, to be honest. Not under
I mean, the actual action of sitting and focusing on a particular thought for a certain amount of time.
yeah, of course, I've tried to do that. And, I can do that. I can isolate myself from the outside world by turning my phone off
Mhm.
and so forth and so on. But my thoughts tend to go to things that are on my post-it notes.
Sure.
And like.
Yeah.
So get rid of your post-it note.
Yeah, the post-it
And I
notes
wouldn't
came
know
out.
where I live, Dory.
But have you sat,
Sit still, wait a minute.
so I get it, so you've been able to like quiet your space, whatever, is this with your eyes closed or you're just like in a calm room?
Usually I don't know, probably with my eyes closed or open, I'm not sure that makes a difference, but.
It does,
I mean, there's nothing there to distract me
yeah,
in
That's
this,
what
in
you
the
said.
sense of visual or moving objects.
yeah. So there's a way again in those three main parts of the brain.
Mhm.
That, so what is the studies are finding in the MRIs are something called gray matter or gray space. And so, neuroplasticity, right? So even 25 years ago, let's say you had a brain trauma, the doctor said, that's it, you're done. Not now. So meditation, the actual practice of it is going to increase that neuroplasticity and open up different channels of your brain that are currently not being utilized as much because we're using our frontal cortex. It's something like 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. Kind of boring. Yeah, I mean, even if they're great thoughts.
I
It's a good
just
world
think
out there.
I sort of think that something like meditation should be where you can throw the switch and sort of walk away from your daily activities and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, hopefully
But
some
what-
of this knowledge has increased your definition on it. How about this? If you're willing, give it a shot and let me know what you say in 30 days. Like if I was your doctor
Mhm.
and you came to me and you said, oh, I got a heart thing, go take this. Come back in 30 days and tell me how you do.
Mhm.
Again, you're only gonna see the benefits of meditation in your life, not during your meditation.
Mhm.
So sitting there being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the quiet thoughts. I haven't had a quiet meditation, I don't remember how long.
Well, I'd rather hear Dory practicing his guitar than I would the metronome.
I would too. Be like an astronaut. It's a little bit of that. I mean, I see your USA thing. Like, be curious about your own mind. I mean, I would say if you have a curiosity about life and travel, I mean, human mind and your human mind, I mean, that's a fun place to go see. There's a lot of stuff in there.
What is the difference between just sitting quietly listening to music versus sitting quietly and not, just doing it on? What's the difference? Is it a lot, or what's really happening there? That's a different thing.
Between listening to music,
Just like sitting quietly and listening to music, for example, as opposed to actively trying to meditate, staying home or something or such.
yeah, well, one, it depends on music. Okay, because so like I have a vibration, Cranston has a vibration. There is a vibration, everybody has a vibration, so depending on the type of music.
Do you think that they actually could have equivalencies if it was the right type of music?
I'm not intelligent enough to say that, but it's not the same thing, because if we go back to the 8 limbs of yoga, right, dharana is the closing of the senses. Okay, so the more senses we are using, the more active our mind is. So that's where it's different, right? So I could sit in a room, I could have wonderful, peaceful experience from this great music I love. I love music, right? I play music, I listen to music, I sing, I play a couple instruments, sort of, I listen to music before I go to bed. It has great benefits. It is not meditation though, because what we're actively doing in meditation is we are reducing the amount of sensory interaction. It's kind of like the mantra that has meaning. I'm going to attach things to that versus the mantra that doesn't have anything. I'm not going to attach. So if I listen to music, butter's
Good.
Repeat it 50 more times, you'll be fine.
So, the thing with music, raise your hand if a certain song reminds you of something. Right? So music associates our mind with things. Even if it's a peaceful ocean breeze, then I'm gonna be like, ooh, remember that time I lived on Sullivan's Island and Cranston lived next door and Dara lived across the street, and all of a sudden I'm not even in the moment. So it is different.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Really makes sense.
I wonder though if they put people.
Good question though. I was like, ooh.
Really good question.
Yeah.
When they put people in those sensory deprivation tanks, where they're not hearing, the temperature is 98.6, so you don't really feel it. I wonder, is that basically what you're trying to achieve with meditation?
That I don't know anything about.
Is that what 11 was doing in Stranger Things?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting thought.
I think what Beth was saying, any experience that I ever had, like sitting in yoga and doing like rolling home, let's say 5 minutes, it forces you at some point to breathe deeper than you normally would in the cycle of that 5 minutes. And if you sit 5 minutes and listen to music, you might not experience that. And I feel that might be a big part of actually, repeating something or breathing as opposed to listening to something passively. That would be my observation on that.
And
Plus,
honestly,
the
we're talking
vibration of
about-
Om is supposed to be, whether you believe or not,
Yeah.
is supposed to have, very highly spiritual,
Sure.
connection. So I think that, when you're in a room with 20 other people doing rolling Om, that vibration becomes, another level
It changes the whole
of
vibration
energy.
the room.
Yeah.
And obviously we've been talking about yoga 6,000 years ago, all from the East, but Gregorian chants.
I was thinking.
If you grew up in the Catholic Church, everybody sings. Everybody sings and everyone repeats. The Aboriginal sound, the didgeridoo.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the oldest
That was, don't look at me.
So,
I think it's the oldest unchanged wind instruments.
yeah.
That
And
hasn't
it,
had any improvement on the
and it doesn't have,
original model.
it doesn't have the
Keys.
keys in it. It's fluctuates by your breath.
Yeah.
Right, so whether you're like, I don't really
That's
buy this
right.
Eastern stuff, well, bring it into your comfort zone. You know, that's why, again, I like to give the English translations of the Sanskrit, because, you know, words matter. And if you're not comfortable, well, it's going to affect your process of cleaning your rug.
It's interesting that you brought up the music, because I was thinking while we were meditating, I'm just gonna be
Oh, you were
honest,
singing the walrus. Yeah.
because I had to stop my brain from being active.
And I saw you open your eyes.
Yeah,
And that's fine.
I was very uncomfortable.
That's okay.
But
I mean, I'm sorry you're uncomfortable.
no, it's
but
okay.
But I'm glad you opened your eyes. That's
It's totally
great.
fine. What I was thinking though, while I was in that is, when I get really upset or when I'm really sick and stuff, I will listen to classical music.
Mm.
And it calms me down and it makes me refocus on just listening to the music.
Mhm.
Only classical.
Mhm.
It's the only thing that does that for me.
Mm.
And I guess what I was expecting, or what I always want from meditation, is that same calm. And I'm not getting it. And I'm like, why?
You did that section 11 in the-
Practicing.
To be fair, I've tried many times and I never get, I guess what I've learned today is perhaps it's not about the calm, perhaps it's more about
It's not about the
cleansing
sensation.
the rug.
It's
the-
like brushing your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth or clean your
So,
rug,
wow.
you're just gonna be carrying a lot
That's-
of discomfort.
I've learned so much.
Build up.
It's a tool.
Wow.
Remember, it's just, it's all super practical stuff. It's deep.
I thought I just wasn't doing it right.
Well, listen, as far as the classical music though, and I'll see if I can send it to you, we were just watching this really cool documentary. And I just started taking piano class about a year ago, maybe Dory knows more, y'all, I don't remember what it is, but there's something to do with the sounds in the universe and the piano keys.
I don't know that.
The 3 white with the 2 black, with the 4 white, so the octave. I was just watching a documentary on it just this week and I haven't finished it. The octave apparently is like the Nautilus.
Mhm.
It is. All these sounds are. We're just here. We're just in these bodies, right? There are all these vibrations, so
Yeah.
classical music is in particular deeply rooted in primordial sounds.
Interesting.
Exactly. Everyone else.
I think Deborah said an important thing, the change doesn't happen in the second that you're meditating, the change, is gonna happen,
It's the acrobat.
Mhm.
however
It's
long
like
later,
exercise.
yeah.
I'd love to, lose a bit of this, lose a bit of, like, it's not gonna happen if I go work out once.
Yeah.
And it's not, yeah, I know. Right? It's been such a bunch of pickles. Take this pill, do this thing, do this thing. It's really all deeply rooted. Everything we need is, this is an incredible system. We don't quite know how to fully use it yet, and definitely not the mind.
So you're saying like, it's kind of like when you start exercising, you hurt like hell for the first week or two.
Yes.
and then you get better, and then
Great
you
analogy.
start seeing the benefit after 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The yoga teachings, they're funny. Again, they're so deep, and then they just make me laugh. This could be a cartoon, right? So what do we do all day? I like this. I don't like this. I like this. I hate this. I love that, right? All we do all day is decide that we this or we that, and it's just premeditated, already
desire is the root of all suffering.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very limiting. So we have the capacity, I mean, you know, think of incredible writers, classical musicians, famous people who have done, take us to the moon. They didn't do that by their frontal cortex. They didn't. They had an epiphany, they had a moment triggered into another part of their brain that awakened a dream, a possibility. They didn't dip into fear about it. They tried it out. You know, we all have the capacity, and it's not like, oh, I've got to go change the world, but I would like to enjoy my day every day a little more. I'd like to enjoy the people I'm around more. And when I'm by myself, you know, if you're not comfortable with yourself, right, others?
He is very comfortable.
Others let it all hang out, right? So it can be a little bit scary, especially if you're an extrovert or somebody who like spends a lot of time in distraction, like needing to constantly be doing something, filling their time. I would say, in my experience, those people have the hardest time, at least kind of starting. Because it can be a bit anxious producing, doing nothing. But it's actually extremely beneficial and it's super healthy. Anyone else want to share anything that happened during your meditation or question? How do they start tomorrow?
We've been meditating for.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
We can all be somebody.
Thinking about that answer.
I go in and out of it. I mean, I have my periods of not being able to meditate at all. But when I do fairly regularly, like you said, it's not something in the moment, but my day goes better. Just everything seems to fall into place, or maybe things don't bother me as much.
Yeah.
You know, that it feels like they're falling into place, but it's just nothing's bothering me. So I feel now I'm inspired because I've been in a slump of not meditating, and I'm inspired to get back into it after being here tonight.
I can relate to that. Yeah, the different modalities of the yoga practice have been more important or less important to me, more curious, not curious, but I'm like, yeah, I'm way into it if you haven't noticed. Give it a shot, y'all. But like, thank you for your honesty. It's easy to get out of the habit of doing anything, isn't it?
Yes, habit is a wonderful thing.
Especially the stuff that's good for us. Isn't it funny?
I mean, I have no problem getting up and doing yoga every day.
Right.
At all, whether going to a class or in my bedroom. But yeah, to sit down, meditate is a lot more challenging than a yoga practice for me. Much more.
So I don't really like the timer on my phone because it has like, makes you feel like you're waking up in the morning, that sound. But there's many apps. I happen to like Insight Timer. There's actually a timer button on this. It's the one that I use for us. And it has softer things. I am not a practitioner, but I can do it without timing myself. That creates anxiety for me. If I were to sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna meditate for 10 minutes, I bet I could do it, but the whole time I do, did I fall asleep?
What time do I?
Somebody in the line.
There you
Yeah.
Why only 8 seconds?
Yeah. So yeah, set a timer.
Yeah. What's your app that you use?
It's called Insight Timer. I'm happy to share all my.
Because I have a meditation timer and I use that.
Do that.
Nice little chime.
Yeah.
You can set it for how many minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, but don't play music. Yeah, unless you have to. But remember, it's all beneficial. But you know, kind of like anything, you're gonna do it.
How are you over there?
No, I'm fine. It looks like.
Juliet's gonna fall out of bed.
Well, surprisingly, it's been 2 hours, you guys, which it went like that. I mean.
I didn't think for 2 hours.
No, but I mean, I just want to show everybody if I can. I don't know if I'm doing, see everybody, but no.
Yay, hey, Juliet. Thank you. Is Juliet our only distance person?
Yeah, yeah.
Prepping the long distance.
Thank you so much.
So-
Thank you, Shine
Yeah.
Oh, Juliet says,
To the wall.
are you in your new digs?
Sorry. Wait, do you have anything to say? I'm stop recording. Do you want
Yeah,
to?
no, just one second. I was just gonna say thank you to everyone for coming to the Shine On Salon again. Thank you so much for presenting was amazing. It was better than I ever imagined it would be. Thank you. Next month, I think we're gonna try something different. I'm still noodling the idea, but thinking about maybe doing like open forum about different cultures, holidays, and what people celebrate or do during the holidays in different places. So maybe my friends in Egypt or Denmark or England could participate. My friend Hermit in California, he's from India. Anyway, that's what I'm hoping. We could just kind of talk about our traditions or our, because I think it would be good for December, and then we could just have like a Christmas party. So I'll let you know when. Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Juliet, for always being the guru behind the scenes.
But just to add, to prep
Yes.
for, if we're doing this for December, I highly recommend, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but Frozen, there's a special, the movie, the animated movie Frozen. There is a winter special that is, I don't know what it's called. It's probably Frozen in winter. I don't know. Very good. It's all about this topic of tradition in holiday season, and 10 out of 10 would recommend. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll include it in the email.
And she used to run Power of a Princess in case you guys.
There'll be a show